They were rampaging along, won their first 2 games. They've lost their last 2, but they could have probably won both of them.
Fantastic looking facility there in the deep south.
I'm sure they're going to come out firing tonight.
From memory, he was leading last week. Are you going to be leading this week, or?
From bottom with 6 points and second from bottom with 5. Yes and no. Yes and no. It paid off for them. They got a 2, doubled a 4 and won 6 points. Depends what the teams above you do, doesn't it?
Unbiased, Miles Davis.
Welcome to another episode of Unbiased with Miles Davis, where we look at the stories behind the great game of lawn bowls in New Zealand. I'm very pleased to introduce to you today Steve Delaney from the Stoke. Steve, thank you for your time. As we do with everyone, we start right at the beginning. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Nelson Hospital, but my folks lived in Takaka Township in beautiful Golden Bay. Yeah.
Right. So, but Takaka, that sounds like quite a cruisy little area.
Oh, it's a lovely spot, mate. It's a little slice of paradise.
And were you brought up in Takaka the main time, or did your parents move into the big smoke of Nelson?
No, country boy at heart. We stayed in the same street till I left home.
Wow, that's a good one. So whereabouts did you go to primary school there?
Yep, primary school was over our back fence, and Golden Bay High School was 200 metres up the road, so didn't have to go far.
That's good. What's the sort of population down that part of the world? Were they big schools?
Oh, I think Golden Bay High School had maybe 400 when I was there on a fine day. On a wet day, half that.
Well, what's the in terms of your primary school? Can you remember much about it? Was it a fun school, or was it a harsh experience for you?
Primary school was. I had a blast. There's a lot of outdoor activities, a lot of sport. All of my fondest memories are either playing scrag, playing cricket, playing everything, chasing girls, all those things. I'd do it all again if I had a chance.
Yeah, those are the golden days, aren't they? If you manage to find a good one. Any teachers in particular that you remember fondly?
Well, there's a chap called Les Allen. He lived across the road from us. Him and his wife were both teachers, and my parents were very sociable with them. So in school and out of school, we all had a lot to do with each other. So he'd probably be the most vivid memory.
So I'm wondering, did it affect his treatment of you because you were a family friend? Did you get special treatment, or was he good with everyone?
Probably the opposite.
Yeah, so you daren't misbehave because you knew it'd get back to your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Golden Bay, going to high school? What was that like for you?
Again, I had a great time. Small town, but close mates, and we did everything together. And whether it's getting in trouble together, playing sport together, there was always fun. Yeah, always fun and mischief.
What sort of sports did you play at school?
Shivers. I played everything, but it wasn't until I didn't start playing rugby till I was about 12 or 13. But yeah, I was pretty keen rugby player. And at schoolboy level, I made Nelson Bays at the age of 16, but just had too many injuries, head injuries, which pretty much stuffed it playing sport, or rugby anyway, contact sport, at the age of 17.
You talk about head injuries. Well, we talk about concussions or various other things. And was it your tackling technique?
Probably my tackling technique was ball at the gate, but probably did myself too much damage, a lot of neck and head injuries. So that had to come to an end, really, and still have neck issues from them. So, yeah.
Blimey, that's not good to hear. That's not good to hear. And I suppose it's becoming more prominent nowadays, more research being done, more care being taken about looking after the head in some game of rugby. Now, when you leave school, what do you do? Where do you go? Do you go to university, or do you actually go out and get a proper job?
A proper job. Yeah, I left school and I think I was in seventh form, but I wasn't very focused. Had a family tragedy, which pretty much, brain fog for that senior year. So I left and got some part-time work. Well, I got some school holiday work as a labourer for a builder that lived just a couple of doors down. And from there, I pursued it to go to Polytech in Christchurch and then seek an apprenticeship and did my time as a builder.
Right. So, by builder, you sort of, did you become one?
I did become one, yeah, for sure. I haven't been building for maybe 5 or 6 years now, but I've still put the tool belt on from time to time.
Now, when do you realise? People may not know this now, but you're a blind bowler,
Yes.
or sight affected. So when did you first notice a deterioration in your eyesight?
It's an interesting question. My oldest brother has the same disease, and he was diagnosed when he was like 14, so he was never allowed to drive. Yet I always had, what would you say? I struggled at night with my vision, which is a symptom of the disease, but it was never picked up in my eyes till I was like 26. I think I was diagnosed, and that diagnosis was pretty devastating, to be honest. It shook my world up quite a bit.
Did you have any sort of? You must have purely had some suspicions because of your brother having been diagnosed with it.
Yeah, I did. I again, having that symptom of night blindness to a degree, I thought, well, maybe I'll just get them checked out and hope for the best. But I didn't realise that at that stage it was as advanced as it was when I was diagnosed. So I was out of 120 degrees that I think you have in each eye. At that time of diagnosis, I had roughly 40 degrees left in each eye. So there was a game changer for a while, yeah.
I can imagine. I mean, how did you cope with that? I mean, what struggles did you have? Did you have any support or help?
Yeah, I did have support and help. I've been very fortunate in that regard. Family, friends, and employers, they were fantastic. It didn't. The struggles were the main one was I was just angry. I was pissed off at the world about it. To be fair, just getting out on my own as a builder and wanting to take it all on by the horns, but it threw out a bit of an anchor. And slowed everything down for a while, and whether it was depression, but it's been an interesting journey, Miles, for the last it's nearly 20 years, just still coping with it and adapting to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the anger thing is perfectly natural. I've seen that in other people that have had similar types of diagnoses or various severe issues with their health. That's a natural thing. Would you say that you're more at peace with it now, or have you still got a way to go?
I am still working on it, Miles. The journey's been tough, I would say, but acceptance and always adapting. I mentioned before about anger, that still rears its ugly head. And when I least expect it. And although I wouldn't change anything about the journey, I wouldn't change the character that this journey has made me into. It in other regards has destroyed everything that's good in my life. And so that's I'm always learning about myself and trying to improve myself. And even as very recently, I've made mistakes that I will regret, but I've got to move on and be a better man. So it's constantly learning about myself, constantly adapting, and constantly improving.
I'm assuming, Steve, that had it been diagnosed earlier, there's still nothing that they could have done about it.
No, there's no cure. There are investigations with genetics, but nothing in my world of retinal. I don't know.
Right, now, when did you start getting into the game of bowls? Because this is a really fascinating story, and this is what, one of the reasons why we're talking to you today. But when did you first get involved in bowls?
2018, the Blind Foundation held a have a go day, and what's his name, Kevin Smith, and a couple of the blind bowlers from Christchurch came up to have a demonstration, and I just went along to have a roll up and meet some other fellow blindies. But with a lot of encouragement from Kevin Smith, and my father, who's been a bowler for 40 plus years, happened to be driving by and saw me there as well, and the two of them combined encouraged me to give it a go. So by the end of the day, I was a member at Stoke Bowling Club, and then I spent up to 30 hours a week practicing for the Nationals, which were 6 weeks away. So that's how I got into it.
And you've done reasonably well in the Nationals, I understand.
Yeah, you could say that. In my first Nationals in 2018, I placed third, and in doing that, I lost to the national champion at the time and the current world champion. And I thought, well, I've got a chance if I just keep working at it. And the following season, I got there. I got the title. And yeah, it's pretty special. It's been a pretty special journey with bowls.
And what about the season after that? I understand you did it again.
Yeah, well, I won the Blind Bowls national title, and then 3 months later, Bowls New Zealand they had us there in the Somerset, so I won that in doubles, I won the pairs and the singles, and then this season just gone gold in the singles and silver in the pairs. So keeping up there.
Not bad for someone who's only been bowling for 3 years, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that fact, but I still want to improve and hold that spot.
Now, how you've got to run me by this? How do blind people bowl? Do you have a marker? Do you have someone guiding you and sort of telling you what corrections to make? How does it work?
Yes, you do. So there's B1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm a B4. B1 is totally blind, and I think B1 to B3 have to have a director. So that's a coach, assistant, etc., on the green with them. Where B4, it's optional, but I've always chosen to have my father there with his experience and guidance and what have you. So those directors, for those that are less sighted, they verbally give instructions and line them up on the mats and etc. and tell them the weight that they need to play, and away they go. Whereas myself, looking directly at the head, I can see it. I don't have very good depth perception, but when I change my vision to find a mark on the bank as such, I can't see the head. So that shift in direction of my visual field, I can't see the head. So I'm just relying on weight and line, and it's working out all right.
Working with your dad, how's that go in a relationship? I can imagine. I've got 6 boys, and I can't imagine any of them taking instruction from me.
Our first tournament together, it just about went all pear-shaped, but we've worked through it. It's been a very good bonding journey over the last 3 years. I mentioned earlier with family tragedy, my oldest brother was put in a wheelchair with a drunk driving accident, and over the last 25 years, my father has basically been the sole carer for most of that, and so his time's been dedicated to my brother. And granted, I don't begrudge that at all, but this last 3 years, my father and I have spent more time together than what we probably have in the last 25, and it's been brilliant for us both, for our relationship and getting to know each other. So as that bond's become closer and closer, we've become more and more of a team, and although Dad is now retired from bowls and won't be my director, I'll treasure those times, because it's been a beautiful time. Yeah.
That's lovely to hear that. I'm going to play this for my kids as well, so they can maybe take up the same thing, spend a bit of time with me, and learn to bond a bit more.
Yeah.
Being a blind bowler, Steve? What do you find the hardest thing in the game? You know, people have line and length, and the line and weight, and all these different things. What do you find the toughest that you need to put the most work into?
I think it's such an early stage in bowling. I'm just still developing, I think, the finer details. Even this last week, making little adjustments in my delivery. I think the mental side of it also, learning techniques to clear the head and just focus on the task, but not staying in that moment, just being in that moment on the mat. And, so all those things, line and length, I think it just comes down to repetition and muscle memory, and that's all still developing. So the more time I spend on the green, the better, and that will always improve, I hope. Yeah.
How hard is it to adapt to a different green? And presumably, you know the Stoke greens inside out. How hard is it to adapt to a different green?
I think it's the same for everyone. Weight, line, it always changes, and it changes throughout the day. And I think it's like everyone, because I don't see myself as having a disability, and so I don't really. Well, the answer to the question, it's the same for everyone. So I've just got to be the first to adapt, Miles. It's learning what your bowls are doing and adjusting if you can, and doing it as quick as you can.
Now, you were picked in the blind jacks after hardly playing at all. Sort of first or second year bowler when you were picked, and then COVID came along. How much of a blow was that to you? How did you feel when that your sort of debut for your country was going to be put off?
Oh, I was gutted, mate. On the Wednesday that lockdown happened, I had a fundraiser all sorted. Generous businesses and individuals from all around the region had donated raffles and prizes, and had a quiz night set up for Stoke on the Thursday night after lockdown happened. So I was tremendously looking forward to that, but that opportunity seems to be getting pushed further and further away. But I still have not lost sight of representing the country, and as soon as that opportunity comes up, I want to be in the top running for that position.
How are you looking for the new season coming up?
I'm into it. Just had into Club Fives over the weekend, where I played pairs with my fellow junior teammate, who was going to be my new director, Dave Parata, and we held our own. So we got our asses kicked, but considering we've got 6 years combined experience versus some that will probably have 100 years experience, I'm just looking forward to keep chipping away at it, and one day we'll upset them.
How much bowls do you play against able-bodied or able-sighted, fully sighted people, Steve?
All my bowls is against fully sighted.
That's got to make you, got to be a massive lift to your spirit to be able to go out there and compete, against people who've got full vision.
Yeah, no one likes losing to the blind guy, I tell you that much. And I'm never short of rubbing it in, but there's always a bit of jest on the paddock, isn't there? But I do enjoy it. I'm very competitive and passionate, and whatever I do, so it's always a lift. I don't never go out there to lose. So it's been good for my character.
When you mentioned before that when you were diagnosed with it, that you were basically branching out and setting out in a career as a builder. You also mentioned you'd given up, you haven't done anything for 5 years. How was it, and how did you manage with a deteriorating eyesight to be able to work in building?
Fake it till you make it. That's one of my mantras. But I was driving under the radar for years, and when I finally decided that this is not good for anyone, that brought it to an end. But no, I was and still am capable. I'd still like to build my own house. It just takes time. It just takes time and being more cautious. But once that decision was made to stop driving, my passion for it had died because I couldn't do it as efficiently as I know I could. But that's part of the journey too, learning to adapt to that emotion and get on with another chapter of life.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's the different stages. There's always something else that you're suddenly having to give up as well, which brings everything back to the surface again. So yeah, I feel for you there, Steve. But you seem to be handling it exceedingly well. What would you say to other blind people about the game of bowls?
Those that haven't played or those that are playing?
Those that haven't played.
Just give it a go. If anything, you'll just have fun. I've met and made some tremendous friendships, some that I think will last the rest of my life through bowls, and socially as well as competitively. It's been a game changer for me. It's given me a lot of happiness, and that's on and off the green. So for those that have considered it or considering it or have been too exposed to an opportunity, just take it, because I think with bowls being more accessible and accepting and encouraging of people with disabilities, you've got nothing to lose. And you'll gain friendships if nothing else.
Now you've won 2 national titles in your first 3 years of bowls. Now you've this year you've won the Somerset Parabola B1 B4 Player of the Year. Tell me about getting the news that you'd won that.
I was that excited. And had a couple of tears of joy that I overlooked the confidentiality part of that that email, and was straight on the blower to my dad, because it's not just mine. There's a team. My father he's the captain of the team basically, and there's a couple of other close friends that I've made through bowls that have come to every tournament to support me, and I play a lot of bowls with them also. I was straight onto the blower with them to give them the news, and I was very proud, and likewise they're very proud of me, and just ready to back me into more success.
Yeah, I can imagine. It must be so hard to keep those things a secret. I've often wondered when people get on the Queen's birthday honours list or New Year, how they know about 3 months in advance, and there's no way that I could keep it. Not that I'm ever going to win one, but there's no way I could keep it a secret.
I had to mention it to my mother as well, but she overlooked that confidentiality. And within, I don't know, a couple of hours, I was getting emails and texts from multiple people. I'm, Mum, come on.
Yeah, no, but mums are mums, mate. They're allowed to be proud of their little boy. Even though he's a big boy, you'll always be her little boy, Steve. Yeah. Now, what we do at the end of these chats is I ask 6 nice, simple questions, like personal ones, but not too personal. First of all, and I think I already know the answer to this, I'm assuming that you've got a pet in the form of a dog. Is that right?
Yes, Sally is, her title is not pet because she's a working dog, but she's my bestie. She guides me everywhere. She's pretty much the Stoke Bowls mascot. But yeah, she's gorgeous, beautiful golden lab.
Oh, just magnificent and so well. But now, in terms of the training, they're already trained presumably before you get them. How much time did you have to spend with each other before she sort of understood you?
So when Sally was brought to me, she was trained in Auckland, and Sally's trainer was brought down to me, and Jade Thurlow from Guide Dogs spent 3 weeks in Nelson training me and Sally together every day. Sally had already graduated, so it was more about me learning the basic commands and just building that bond and learning Sally's body language. So it's all through the harness that you're holding, learning how to feel her temperament and going from there. But wouldn't change it. She came at the right time for me, and just love it a bit.
All right. Have you got a favourite sports team?
I do. But I would call it the City Kickboxing team. That would be my favourite team at present.
Oh, right. So you're a big sort of UFC, Israel Adesanya and Dan Hooker and all those guys.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, but I think they're taking the world by they're just taking it to the world, really, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so. No, that's a good call. That's a good an interesting one, but a good one. What about individual sports star?
Your favourite sports person would be Israel Adesanya. I admire his confidence, although he could be taken the wrong way, but he speaks his mind and does what he said he's going to do. So, yeah, I'd put him on that spot.
He certainly walks the walk. That's for sure. What about music? What sort of music? If you could see any band or individual star, who would it be?
I don't actually know, because I listen to a wide variety. Probably most predominant I've heard on Spotify lately would be Michael Jackson. So phenomenal.
Okay, well we'll dig him up and get him out there for you. What about? I suppose I was going to say movies, but I suppose that's we'll pass that one. We'll skip that one. If you ended up, not that we're wishing this on you, on death row, what would your last meal be, Steve?
I've been thinking about this because I've listened to a couple of your other podcasts, but a lemon meringue pie. That would be me.
And who would cook it? Would it be mum, or is there someone else that you prefer?
Mum's not too good at meringue, so it'd have to be someone else. And I don't know who that would be, but it's got to be pretty good. Otherwise, it'd be.
All right. Well, you do realise Mum's going to be listening to this.
She knows it. She's
gone from teacher's pet.
Her pavs and meringues have been a family joke since I can remember, so she knows it. Love you, Mum.
Steve Delaney, thank you so much for your time. You're an inspiration to a lot of people. I know people will listen to this and pass it on to their blind friends, and hopefully we'll see a bigger boost and maybe a bit more competition for you, Steve, in the future, because you seem to be needing it.
I look forward to it. Hopefully, with a bit of conversation with Blind Bowls NZ, we can maybe get a team of B4s into the national fours next year. So, any exposure for the game and the blind community is great.
Steve Delaney, thank you.
Cheers, Miles.
They were rampaging along, won their first 2 games. They've lost their last 2, but they could have probably won both of them.
Fantastic looking facility there in the deep south.
I'm sure they're going to come out firing tonight.
From memory, he was leading last week. Are you going to be leading this week, or
from bottom with 6 points and second from bottom with 5? Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It paid off for them. They got a 2, double a 4, and won 6 points. Depends what the teams above you do, doesn't it?
Unbiased, Miles Davis.